we started to plan TokenMarket, Mikko and I, already like 2-3 years ago. But then we were thinking that how do you tokenize stocks and bonds? There was no ICOs really yet. And that made it that we were thinking about colored bitcoins and stuff like that. And then 2016, end of 2016, there was a First Blood ICO where Mikko was advisor, and that one raised 5.2 million in a matter of 4 minutes or something. And that then triggered for us to start to work on an ICOs. And during the Christmas, then 2016, we got the first clients, and the company was then established 15 months ago from now. And so far we have done a little over 30 ICOs that have raised $350 million. So last year we did like 300 million about. So that means that on the first year of operation we were twice as big as the UK's largest equity crowdfunding platform, Crowdcube. So that's a good start. Then these tokens that we issued for each of our clients, they are, of course, on the highest of the highest. They traded much more on the market cap, but now they are they're somewhere 1-2 billion maybe. Now there's a little slump on the market, but about that. And then very interestingly also, the daily trading volume is about $100 to $200 million. So that's about same as a AIM market does in London, which is the second largest exchange there. So of course these numbers are very good for our first year. Let's see if we can build it bigger. And then we have offices, of course, the headquarters here in Gibraltar, and then we have an office in Soho in London, where we have much of business development and marketing, and then tech development in Helsinki. Most of the people are, by the way, here, so we have like 25 people probably here on this event, so you can talk to them. And then website is like our information portal. And that one lists all the ICOs, and it's been the most popular ICO calendar according Alexa. And there our new all-time high is 800,000 unique visitors a month. And then 180,000 people get that our weekly email that probably quite many people here as well they get. So that's a good tool for us, especially since the opening rate is as high as 40% on emails, which is almost unheard of. Normally, we talk of half of that. And then, as mentioned earlier, we have applied for DLT license on this kind of among the very first ones. I think we were the second ones to do the interview in the front of FSC, and now we're just waiting. We have done everything we can, as well as we can. That was basically 2 months work from 2-3 months work, almost full time from 2 guys on our team. And then our goal, of course, is to move beyond app tokens. So we are looking to do on app tokens and on securities, both primary market and the secondary market. And then we're going to talk more about this stuff over the next 2 days. So next on, we want to talk about ICOs, and there I get the ICO advisory business, and Ryan's going to come on stage heading that. On we go. Yeah.
Hello, welcome. So I'm Ryan Hanley. I look after the advisory business for TokenMarket. I think from day one, as you've probably seen from a number of the figures that Ransu put up, we've had a number of inquiries of people looking to do ICOs, anywhere from maybe 20, 30 a day, mostly absolute shit. And a large part of our job is to make sure that we're obviously surfacing the right ones. I think some of our particular highlights we've had across the last sort of 1.5 to 2 years. We had the dog walking ICO, as I'm sure you can imagine, absolutely necessary for DLT. I think probably dozens of people trying to send certain objects into space and funding that via an ICO. And I think probably my personal favourite was one evening on a Saturday, I received an email, no white paper, no token diagrams, a very, very small paragraph explaining why somebody wanted to go and fund this and sell it to the US military. Funnily enough, couldn't quite get that past our lawyers doing the ARMS token ICO, but there we are. Anyway, joking aside, we've always been very, very careful, and we've always sort of prided ourselves on being quite risk-averse in a space which is often not. We get presented with a number of these different opportunities, and we have to come up with a common framework and an understanding of how we can correctly evaluate people that we look to take through this process. And I think that kind of gets underpinned by a number of these principles. So one of the major things that we did when we set out was we decided that we'd always have skin in the game. We would always work in a performance-orientated environment. We wouldn't take money off people until we'd actually got them all the way through the process. And I think that was a really fundamental decision we made right at the start of TokenMarket, where it meant that, one, we had to be across the whole process. We had to look at all of the various things which made up an ICO, all the way from the team, the tech, the business development, what they were looking to do, how they could justify these things. And it also allowed us to have very, very frank conversations if we thought they were doing things which did not look good, did not look compliant. It also allowed us to exit things if once we looked under the hood, we could do so. So very, very important for us, I think, in establishing this business. Team, the justification of why you're able to do this. Good teams solve hard problems. A lot of these guys initially, they are startups. There are unknown things which they have to go and resolve. And typically guys who have been there, done that, had a couple of exits, they know that. They're able to get over these obstacles and to go and deliver. Tech is something that we've seen a huge amount of iteration on. With every single project that we have live at the moment, our guys, they are right into the testnet or right into the mainnet with utility directly after launch. It's a standard that we're now seeing within the industry. We're no longer seeing white paper only businesses, grand ideas, people sort of waiting 1-2 years down the line and still not producing things. Something that absolutely has to be there. Again, business model, market environment, justification of the token. Why is it needed? There's only so many businesses who can truly justify using a utility token within this environment. The actual token model itself, also an absolute necessity. If you can go and do something quickly and take in fiat payments and credit card payments and PayPal, and you go and build something with a token, somebody else will look at that, they'll look at your open source code, and they'll do it themselves quicker, with less actual kind of problems going into market and a larger market to go and develop. So that has to be absolutely key to these propositions that we pick. Again, route to market. How do you get this to users? What's your justification? Who's buying your token at the start? Who are these major partners who are coming in? Again, how can you justify this? And of course, something that we're always very, very considerate of, credentials. Who are you selling to? In what jurisdictions? What things do you need to be compliant around? What are you doing in terms of KYC? So, there we go. Something that we're always very, very conscious of, and something that we've continuously iterated within our own platform and our own processes as well, as we're looking to move towards being a more regulated company. I think something that we really excel on is really this process and the technology which we insist on having all of our clients go through. And that goes all the way from source of funds checks. So that's traditional checks. Do you have the money? Are you an accredited investor? Can you prove it? So in a more traditional sense. But then also looking at a number of these people who may have done very, very well 3-4 years ago by investing in Ethereum when it was 10 cents, or within Bitcoin. How have you actually gained those funds? How can you contribute? And how can we do chain analysis on that wallet? So we've put this in place as well. KYC and AML, of course, are standard. Every single buyer needs to go through this process, whether it's through the whitelisting, whether it's live on site with our partners baked in via Onfido, or whether it's our partners such as Civic. Something, again, that we're looking to open out, where we allow an API so that we can be adherent to any jurisdiction in where we're actually issuing those tokens. And then, of course, accredited investors only, especially within the private cell, making sure that everything is whiter than white, because eventually you need to gain access to these funds. You need to be able to build large businesses. And that means actually having a bank account. So going through these things is super, super important. In terms of the technology, again, something that we insist on with all of our clients, smart contracts audited by all of the major guys out there numerous times, wallet management, how you're actually receiving those funds, making sure that you're protecting, ensuring who the key holders are, being a custodian, having a multi-sig, good general practice in terms of taking a large amount of funds. The widgets themselves, all of those entry points in terms of how people are coming in and contributing, whether that's within a whitelist, whether that's within a private pre-sale, whether that's in the public sale itself. You might have thousands of people who are coming in at any one point. This has to be so, so secure. Token distribution, again, something where you're looking at an event where people will have access to tokens and then will be able to transfer them. We're now actually putting more process in place where we actually give ourselves another 30 days to be even more considered around how those people have come in, participated, to give us that 30-day grace period before people can actually change over and move those tokens, to be able to do more pattern analysis, more AML checks, more source of funds, and see if anything looks wrong there. So we have the option to either refund or to freeze. And then, of course, support. When you have a baying mob of 10,000 Telegram users all asking for their tokens, this is something that's super important, where you need a few cool hands who've sort of been there, done that before, and know how to respond to these people in the right way. Put out fires before they become very, very large blazes. Of course, typically, we also work on a number of different elements of the sale as well. So the advisory, how you're packaging, what actions you're looking for as you go through these various different stages, a very, very pressurized environment. Marketing, your placement, your branding, who you're working with. Again, that baying mob of Telegram users, how you can coerce them, how you can make them not guys who are going after you, but really supporting you, trying to get you into other channels, which is an incredible thing that this TGE ICO events can actually bring you. It's an audience of people who want to use your product from the get-go. And then, of course, PR, advertising, strategic placements, making sure that you're well-known and you can get out to that wide audience. So when you have raised those funds and you do actually have the utility for your token, you have a very nice, large audience to go and distribute it to. So over the last year and a half, I think we've innovated internally more than anything I've ever seen in a company. From sort of day one, what we used to do when there was maybe 3, 4 of us, to now when we're 30 plus. It's a really, really different landscape. It's been super, super exciting. I'm very, very proud to announce a couple of partnerships which I think will really help us move on to the next level. So one of those first ones, often in the crypto world, is that we get criticized on being too hard or too technical or not having enough on-ramps to allow people to come in and easily engage. People are scared because it's a tough learning curve. So we're very proud to announce a partnership with Bread Wallet. So Bread Wallets are the leading mobile application where you are able to secure your crypto. So I believe that's now 1.5 million users, just under $6 billion under management within that decentralized wallet. You'll now be able to participate in selected TokenMarket ICOs directly within that mobile wallet. So not having to come out, not having to enter your private keys anywhere, being able to participate directly on your phone, which I think is a really big advancement and something that we will continue to look at to improve these on-ramps to make things a lot easier for people to come in. Secondly, I think we all know that Asia has a little bit of influence within this market. So we're very aware of that. And what we're looking to do and have done is we are launching a joint venture partnership where we're opening the full service token market offering within Singapore, and that's with Tokenomics. Tokenomics are a very well-established partner within Southeast Asia. This opens us up to potentially another 400 million people within that region. And Tokenomics also, as part of this deal, will allow our ICOs to have an option to go to Indodax, one of the largest Southeast Asian exchanges with over 1 million users. And it's my pleasure to actually introduce Christain Hsieh, who's here from Tokenomics today, who can tell you a little bit more about the partnership.
Great. How's everyone? My first time to Gibraltar, but I met with Ransu months ago, and we from a very brief discussion turned to hours of discussion. We share a lot of common interest. We think working together to build a token economy will really make sense for us. So here I am today, my first time to Gibraltar. Really had a great impression of this place. Hopefully we all will come here more often. This is a gathering place for crypto, and so much so as Singapore. A lot of people go to Singapore to meet with crypto startups. So introduce a little bit about Tokenami. Tokenami is a all crypto exchange. Our goal is to build a token economy. So on top of the exchange, we have a launch pad. So we encourage people to launch their token project on our platform. And then we're thinking about developing the ICO advisory service, and then we fund TokenMarket. So we think about doing it together will totally make sense for us. Now, we're not new to this space. We've been running a company called Indodex. So Tokenami is a global value creation distribution network. Indodex is, we founded in 2014. My co-founders started this, we name it Bitcoin Indonesia at the beginning. So it was the first exchange. Now they're the largest in Indonesia, the largest by number of users. As of last year, November, we reached 1 million users in Indodex. And we have 6 branch offices throughout Indonesia, so people can come in and deposit their money to buy all kinds of different cryptocurrencies. So it's very interesting to work in the emerging market. And we see the participation rates very high. We get a few thousand sign-ups every month. So it's very exciting for us. And Tokenami is our growth strategy to reach out to the Southeast Asia region and outside of Indonesia. So we have done a token sale in first quarter 2018, and then right now we have launched our beta exchange. So this is what the beta kind of looks like, and it's very interesting to work in emerging market because I think, and the keynote when William mentioned about Facebook, we have outside of the United States, the largest Facebook users are in India and Indonesia. Combined, you got 500 million users, but they don't have the participation to have a fractional ownership of this growing company. But with tokens, they can do that. So we're very committed to building infrastructure together with TokenMarket and especially focus on the Asia region. And we are very excited to do that. And then this is, hopefully, we'll build a better future together. Thanks.
So my background is I'm the CTO of TokenMarket. After Bitcoin, I started to create tokens and do smart contracts early 2016. First Blood was one of the first token sales in the world. So by the time there was nothing anything like a standard of ERC20. So we just cobbled and copy pasted some code together. It became later the standard of the tokens. So if there was anything, if it's complicated and doesn't work, you can always blame us and say that we can say that okay, we were young, we needed the money. We are what we are kind of been an issuance tech company. We have been only involved what is called primary markets or selling the tokens in a token sale. That has been our major business so far. Of course, we want to expand the scope of activities we do, and we have been started to work with our own exchange. And I can tell you it's live, our website today, so you can go there, you can find it in the footer. You can see tokens listed there, but unfortunately you can't buy or sell them there yet. It's at the moment it's invite only, so unfortunately it's as a platform for now, but it's open for all. And what we want to do is here that we can't compete against the big centralized exchanges like Binance. We have very good partners like Tokenomic who can deal with those. But what we have done in the past, like since 2016, we can actually want to look what comes next after this current ICO boom? What are the securities tokens? What's going on there? And that's why we have been started to build what I call the first compliant decentralized exchange. So we are basically want to be regulation friendly, so we know how our traders are. We can fulfill all the criteria you would have for a real business if you want to buy and sell your stocks, not just utility tokens like equity, bonds, and all of that stuff goes there. So we are able to identify our buyers and make the reports and what else is needed there to make sure that the markets are fair. Because if you don't know who your traders are, we are very fast in a situation that the markets can be manipulated easily. And that's why I feel it's very important that you do these things in a compliant way, because it's the only way that this industry can go forward. But on the other hand, we are still decentralized. So as you know, that the blockchain world is full of hacks. I wouldn't sleep very well having keys to all of your funds. So we are a non-custodian exchange. We never touch the user, and we do only the clearance and the settlement on the blockchain. So if token market goes down, as a website or as a business, you still have all of your assets in your wallet. And in the worst case, you can go to some other exchange and trade there. But in this way, we introduce a lot of less systematic risk to the product, because there's always an open alternative for going somewhere else if it doesn't work. And as I said, we have started with the utility tokens. We are going to list all the ICO tokens that TokenMarket has been working so far. But we are already working on a securities token standard. That's not, you can't just like use no Ethereum tokens for that, because when you go to securities, you need to have things like corporate governance. You need to be able to pay dividends. You need to pay. You need to be able to invitations for the investors to have them in the general meeting and stuff like that. So again, we are trying to push our exchange to be the first decentralized securities token exchange where you can list real companies in the future. We are using something called 0x protocol. That's quickly becoming the standard protocol how applications and smart contracts interact with an exchange. So not just you can buy and sell to our website, you can also plug in your favorite trading app or wallet directly with our exchange. And this is what the decentralized ecosystem is all about, that we have many parties, small and big, working together to create a open-ended ecosystem where anybody can participate. You can have your self-custodian of the funds, and that way we will create more liquidity and investor safety in the future. And I think what we are now seeing is how the world works today, is that you have a few big exchanges. You have a NASDAQ, you have a New York Stock Exchange, and you have a London Stock Exchange, and then in a few exchanges in Asia. And they are kind of having a monopoly on the market liquidity. But because the new ecosystem is open, because of blockchain, we are going to have a lot of small exchanges in the future, and your company can be traded on a multiple small exchanges. And if you are, what we can't do today, for example, if your company is listed in somewhere in a big exchange, and you want to get listed on other exchange or change your marketplace, it would take months of work. But in the future ecosystem, you can do it overnight, just flipping the switch, and you are actually listed somewhere else. So we are actually here. What's the very, very far vision that we are shifting the power from the marketplaces to the issuers themselves that are actually your own company. And that way, we are creating a little bit better world for everybody, what William was hoping for earlier. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can contact me by email. For example, if you want to list your token, you want to integrate with our exchange, and you are going for the securities tokens. So please come to talk to me or anybody else in our team. And now I would like to announce our next speaker, Mr. Tom Ledbetter.
Hey all. So you'll be pleased to know that I've been told I have to be incredibly quick. So that's good for two things. We get coffee faster and you won't have to listen to my appalling New Zealand accent. So fingers crossed on that. So just to be really quick, what Mikko is taking you through is the site as it exists as the exchange. It's an update. But we also know that we've had our portal around for a while. Ransu mentioned that we have over 800,000 unique users a month, and we felt that it was time to really sort of take a step back and understand what we're looking at in terms of an upgrade. So, because we don't want to forget the site, it's very important, and the goal of the initial website was very much to focus on how is the best way for individuals to unearth information about projects, ICOs, blockchain, and really understand where they want to invest their time and resource going forward. So to do that, we kind of took a step back to 2016. Like I said, we had that goal to unearth information, but a lot's happened in that 2 years. We've doubled, quadrupled the traffic through to the website, but what's happened next? And what we've noticed is that the market's moved on. And as you'd expect, a couple of things have happened. We've seen a lot more competition. That's really good. It's good for two things. A, we've got a lot more competition, so there's a lot more interest in the space, which is really positive for crypto. But the other thing is that it's also increased a lot of commercialization. And as a result of that, we've identified that there's probably a little bit more of a need for a bit more integrity, because as we've seen with commercialization, which is not a bad thing, we saw in the early 90s, mid-90s, a really explosion in the internet because of commercialization. But in this space, you very much see a option to pay to play. And all of a sudden, this type of projects that we don't want for crypto to be associated with, and some of the cowboys or some of those the mechanized suits that you might have seen from Ryan, can all of a sudden buy their way into legitimacy. Now that's not true of all sites, but it definitely is more of an issue than when we built the site. And the second issue that we've noticed since we've kind of incepted this back in 2016 was we've noticed there's a disconnect. That disconnect really exists because we're seeing how the user behavior interacts with our site and others. Well, for example, you take CoinMarketCap. You can go through to CoinMarketCap, as most people would have, and you would have noticed that there is very much a case of you can understand what's going on with the token prices, but actually if I want to drill into any of those tokens, I don't know what that project is. It just tells me what the price of the token is. I don't know who the team is, what their goals are, and where they're going. In the same position, you've got the ICO calendar sites, and they're great. They've got white papers, they have the team, they have all the ideas behind the business, and what the team's really trying to strive and achieve, which is why people invest and spend their time on these projects. But as soon as it raises, it ends. And that's not what businesses do. Businesses mature, and these are just stepping stones through to the fulfillment of their goals in their white papers. So we're seeing two things, a bit of an issue around integrity and the disconnect. So what does that mean for us? What we've seen from the users, those users are going, we've looked at our website, we've done the analysis, we can see that people are, after you take out of Google, about anywhere between 5 and 15% of our traffic is coming through from those sites, from the calendar website. So the likes of ICO drops through to ICO alert, meaning that integrity is an issue because people are trying to back up what they understand. That is this actual information? I need a couple of reference points to make sure that this is actually a thing. And then following that, they'll then leave our website up to about 5% of the traffic will go to CoinMarketCap. Again, that disconnect. So we've, like I said, Ryan's the owner of the ICO advisory business, and I've taken on the portal. So the next step, what we've done is, if you look here, you can see that this is our existing site as it is. Going back to our goal, what we want to do is enable people to unearth information about their projects. And we've definitely done that. It's not the prettiest of websites, but the information is all there. So we've gone back to this drawing board a little bit, and created a bit more of another site. So this site is based on a lot of user feedback, some interviews. We actually identified that the token distribution was really important for a lot of our users. So we've kind of built that front and center, but everything's there in a much easier, nicer, and hopefully a much cleaner site. So that's great, and we're keeping with our theme of integrity. We've got no advertising. It's very clean. We just want to make that information as very easily as possible for our users. But we still haven't really addressed the disconnect. So what we've done now, and actually live on the site at the moment, is that beta portal. Now that beta portal actually lists all the token prices now. So hopefully users can come through and actually get a view on all the different costs, all the different prices over time. And there are more features to be added. But again, we're keeping very much with that clean, no advertising. We're just trying to unearth the right information for our users to make a more trustworthy experience. But what I'm really quite proud about is actually if you drill into any of these tokens, let's take Stellar for example, we've got all the information here, such as the charts or the trending data of the markets, as you would expect. But what you'll notice is this is actually very similar to the mobile page I just took you through. And that's because, in effect, it is the same page. What happens is these pages, as the project matures, stay the same, and all the information that we took in during the white paper stage or the ICO calendar stage, and all the information about the team is still on the site and available for users to find and actually reference really easily. The idea being, ultimately, you should be able to get a complete picture of these projects and the businesses, where they started and where they're going to. And that's hopefully where we'll be able to keep people on site and become that really sort of source of reference for all crypto projects. So there's a lot more coming down the pipeline. All this is either live on the site or to be live in July. I don't have, like I said, I've been told everybody has to go out for coffee, so enjoy the coffee.